What's up, Pokemon fans and Black Pig stands? Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest Pokemon rumors and leaks, starting things off right off the bat with this post that was shared to me by Light, but also GameBoy98 on Discord. So let's get into it. First things first, what is this post all about? Well, it says the following, and it includes a massive image, which says there's another major Terra leak coming in the next week, by the way. Gaia build with commits from as late as February are in there. Not posting screen grabs / art, but this is your Gen 10 Dex. Don't have to believe me, it is what it is. For fun, I'll drop 10 of their names, so pick which ones you want to know the name of. We won't give any other details except region name, I guess. All depends what gets picked. Now, what are you talking about? Well, basically, this post was made on 4chan, and he includes an image. And what is this image? Well, it's a collage, right? It's a collage supposedly supposed to like imply what the next Pokemon game, in this case, the next generation game, Gen 10, is going to have for Pokemon. And I think the list included about like 75, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 72 Pokemon in total. At least that's what he's saying. And then there's like a giant image collage here actually showing what these quote-unquote Pokemon are that I thought we'd take a look at. So yeah, let's just, I guess, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So starting things off in the top left, we have what looks to be, if I'm not mistaken, Weasels. And they're grass fighting, which I'm assuming implies they're grass fighting types. That they're the grass starter, and it's a grass fighting type final evolution, which, I mean, fine. Not that crazy, though. A Weasel is an interesting choice. I think it's a Weasel. I could be wrong. I think so, at least. That's what it looks like. Could be a ferret, too. No, it's not a ferret. Ferrets are different. No, that's a Weasel. But either way, that's the first thing. So it's implying that we're going to get a Weasel grass starter. Then we have a, what looks to be a little octopus. Little octoling. Look at this thing. Water type, obviously, implying that it would be the water starter. Then water poison for the mid stage, and then water poison again for the final stage. And then it says all ink, which I wonder what all ink would imply. That like, does that mean like it's gonna be like covered all by ink or something? Is its color gonna change to match that? Because it goes from like light blue to like a medium kind of, bluish, and then like really dark blue maybe. Maybe that's what's going to go for. And then we have what seems to be sheep. In this case, we've got a little fire sheep with smoke, like text on it, which I'm guessing means like there's going to be smoke oozing from its like from its wall. Then there's another one again with the same principle, and then a fire dark evolution here that would be inverted color, and it would be suit instead of smoke coming off of it, similar to how Double's shiny. Has inverted colors. Then normal flying, and then it's like a little duckling that has for whatever reason, a egg attached to it. And then it like, I guess, evolves into another like version where one is larger and one is smaller, and they're like still attached to each other. Water flying and fighting flying ability. Interesting. Then there's some sort of mouse, which again is also connected to another mouse. And there's a bunch of like little balloons of other mice. Again, this could imply like Pokemon that are somewhat connected, or like, because I'm assuming that could be the case here. Maybe I'm wrong. Like they're connected to something else, or it's just a mouse Pokemon that then also has balloons on its second evolution. Then there is a dice Pokemon of sorts, or like a dice being held. Psychic Ghost, and then Psychic Ghost with like two, like it literally doubles, so 2 hands instead of 1 hand, and 2 dice instead of 1 dice. A dice Pokemon, it would not be that crazy, man. Like it wouldn't be that far-fetched, to be honest. Then there is, I guess, Throw and Sock, but like they're Cyclopses. But again, keep in mind the game is supposed to be based on Greece, so having a Cyclops Pokemon is not that crazy to assume. Okay, like it's not really. It's not that insane. It is relatively realistic that would happen, so just keep that in mind. Next up, I'm guessing this would be a Cerberus, like a Cerberus. There's a multi-headed dog or a 3-headed dog, which is also in Greek mythology, and this one will be Fire Ghost and then Fire Ghost again, which again doesn't sound that crazy. It seems like realistic that would exist in the game, given what it's based on. However, next up we have a Griffin, which is flying, then flying again, and then flying again, and it's just like 3 stages of a Griffin. Dude, I would love a Griffin Pokemon. We haven't had one. I really think we should have one. I don't know why we haven't had one yet, but I think this is the prime opportunity to get one. Like, I would love that. I don't understand why they haven't bothered, like, exploring more of those kind of ideas, more fantasy ideas to use. They've used just a lot of like, they do use mythology, but they use like a lot more of like regular cultural things that exist within a region rather than like a lot of mythology necessarily. Though they do obviously use mythology in Pokemon games. I mean, Groudon, Zygarde, Kyogre are a good example. Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza are a good example of that. What else? Like you have a bunch of Pokemon that fit into the whole like mythology thing. Obviously, that's something that, you know, is undeniable. But I do like the idea of using more fantasy animals, maybe, if that makes more sense. Then there is a crab that's supposed to be a bit of a fruit, I guess, like a fruit crab, bug fairy, and a bug fairy fruit crab again evolution for it. Then there's a normal type. I'm gonna assume this is a burrito. Is it a burrito Pokemon? I mean, they do like making food Pokemon. Then, what looks to be maybe potentially a variant of Phalanx, or a Pokemon with a similar principle, maybe, which is fighting, and fighting dragon. So either it's Phalanx, like new regional form, or a regional variant, or whatever, or it's supposed to be like a new Pokemon that has a similar evolutionary style, where it starts off as a singular of itself, and then multiple get attached to it, and it becomes almost like a snake in the end, like a snake dragon looking thing. Next up, we have Tyrogue and fighting, and then Tyrogue as a big chunky, what is it called again? Sumo wrestler. Could imply that maybe we're going to have like a Tyrogue version that's going to have like, you know, a karate version and a sumo version. That actually would be sick, man. Hariyama is a cool Pokemon. That's based on like, you know, a sumo wrestler, so I don't mind. Next up, oh dude, what are these called again? Fawns or whatever? Like fawns? Or is that what they're called? Grass and then ice. I guess two versions of that. Then normal and also it's like a star. So I guess a star Pokemon. And then they can, I guess, the evolution depends on the island you get them from. And they can be a different shape or maybe different combinations of them to match like star constellations in the sky, right? You know, things like that. Next up, this one is pretty straightforward. It's a Medusa one. So Rock Psychic that can evolve into a Rock Psychic, you know, and I guess there's like a good and a bad version maybe? Like, is that what it's supposed to imply here? I don't really know. But of course, Medusa from mythology makes sense. Her, you know, head or hair is all snakes and stuff that can petrify whoever like looks into them. Then we have two sorts of, I guess, fish. In this case, water steel north and water fire south. Interesting. So two different ones based on which area you are in. Then we have a ghost, some sort of, I guess, like Greek pottery or Greek like what are they called again? Pots. Yeah, it's just a pot of sorts. And that would be a ghost type, which that sounds realistic. Then dark fighting, some sort of goat-headed beast, at least as far as I can tell. Then normal steel, I guess is supposed to be like Ares, like the god of war or whatever, something like that. I guess, maybe I'm wrong. Isn't Ares the god of war? I think he is, isn't he? I think so. I mean, somebody would say Kratos, but still. But I guess it's like implying that we might get some like Pokemon that are based on gods. Then a bug ground type ant that evolves into a giant colony of ants. Bug fairy, like some sort of like almost looks like it's gonna be like Wurmple, something like that evolves into a very colorful bug fairy like butterfly. So just a rainbow butterfly basically. Then a fire type like, I guess almost based on, would that be Achilles or something else? I'm not really sure. Or Apollo or someone like that. But basically, it is essentially a guy running with a flame, like maybe the Olympic flame in this case, something similar to that. So it's just somebody holding a flame. No, actually, wouldn't that be? Isn't that Apollo? Or am I crazy? Dude, my Greek mythology is not very good. Water Ghost Companion. So this is like, I guess, a ship Pokemon, a giant ship. Flying and then flying again, so some sort of Pegasus, you know, some horse of some kind, which is fair. Electric, I'm guessing. Okay, so this is, let me just rethink this, right? So we have Zeus, so a Zeus Pokemon, a Poseidon Pokemon, which is the water here, and then a, dude, I cannot remember. Is this Apollo or is this like someone else? I don't know. Hades obviously is there, and then like I guess Artemis is the one with the bow and arrow, like one of the daughters of one of these dudes, one of these gods, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then maybe Aphrodite is hero number 5. Next up though, we have some sort of fruit combination of Pokemon, so some sort of Pokemon that evolve into one I guess one of the different grape colors you have, like the kind of more reddish, the more like purplish, and the more greenish. One of those. And then a dark type Pokemon that's going to be, I guess, some sort of silhouette Pokemon. I'm assuming that's what this is. Then we have I'm guessing Lynx that that is combined with a little rabbit. And then Ice Ghost type here is it literally, well, consuming it, which is kind of messed up. An Electric Piggy that has Electric Ground type evolution and literally looks like a plug, you know, for your, like a plug for your power connection. Then a Ghost Dragon, and a Ghost Dragon that is a Skeleton Dragon. That would be so peak. And again, that is very fantasy, very heavy fantasy. So if they do that, molto bene. Rock Poison Scorpion. The first one is just a regular one, and then the evolution is like a version where it has many more scorpions on its back, like babies, which is ugh. Next up is a big old snake. It's a flying box legendary, and it looks like I guess a storm of sorts. And then a water version, which is the second one, that looks like also a sort of storm. I'm not sure which difference this is. I guess it's a tornado, and this is supposed to be a tornado, I'm guessing. And then this is maybe not a typhoon, but what are they called again? Just a storm, I guess. Then, of course, we have a little Cupid Pokemon, a Crying Mask Pokemon, and a Psychic Pokemon that is some form of connection to the sun. Again, I'm very much spitballing shit here. So that pretty much summarizes the entire list. And again, do we believe this? I don't really know. I mean, what this thingy says, though, about this, you know, being another major Terra League, that's implying that in the next week or so, we should, I mean, we'll know if this is real or not if somebody decides to start dropping a bunch of, you know, images and builds and shit like that around. I don't know how likely that is to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, listen, I love leaks, but Gen 10 is still like next year, and it feels a little bit insane to be dropping like such massive things about a game like that already. Like, it feels a little too early to be dropping those levels of things, but again, who knows, man? Like, they could literally do it if they wanted to, I guess. But I just feel like, hey, maybe a little too early, but we'll see, right? We will see. So that was the first rumor, by the way, and I want to know your thoughts and opinions, but let's move on to the next one. Now, this one is also on 4chan, and I found this one myself, but let's see what it actually has to say. So it has a picture of the secret bases from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Of course, the secret bases were a feature introduced, I think, in Ruby and Sapphire, and by far is one of the most fun features in Pokemon that just does not come back for whatever reason. It's like they're just lazy and they don't want to recreate it. But what is the deal here? Well, they say Pokemon Presents July 22nd leak. Pokemon Plus and Pokemon Minus is real. Oh my... Dude, we're back to Pokemon Plus and Minus. Okay, for those of you who are not, like, initiated on Pokemon leaks, Pokemon Plus and Minus was, like, the original, like, rumored name that everybody was throwing around in rumors and leaks. Back when the Switch came out in 2017. Like, the rumor, everybody was saying that, oh, it's going to be Pokemon Plus and Minus, and the reason it's going to be Plus and Minus is because the Nintendo Switch has a plus and a minus on it, so they're going to call the next Pokemon game Plus and Minus. Now, to be honest, the names Plus and Minus makes total sense. It is a very, like, it's very clean names. They're very short, very simple. It would be Pokemon PM, you know, not PP or not SS or whatever. It would be Pokemon Plus and Minus PM, right? It's a good set of names, Pokemon Plus, Pokemon Minus. But the thing is, it never ended up being real back then, so I doubt that it would be real now, especially because Game Freak is the kind of company that, for whatever reason, they are very, I don't know if litigious is the right word, because that's more if they're coming after other people, but they're very weird in a sense. Like, as an example, the reason why we get really shitty designs of Pokemon, oddly enough, at least based on what's like been said, quote unquote, by insiders, is that Game Freak doesn't want to, like, they literally have to come up with totally new designs for their Pokemon, or almost make the designs shitty so they don't look similar to something made by fans online, because they don't want to get in trouble. Like, they want to make sure that they separate their stuff from fan art. So in some weird way, the more fan art there is, the less, like, options they have for a design. So if a fan makes a really cool design, they're going to avoid making anything similar to that, because it literally will just, like, be something they don't want to recreate or don't have something similar to, right? Like, that's a thing. So just keep that in mind. by that implication, them calling a game Pokemon Plus and Minus when it's something that everybody said online is highly unlikely. Let's just be honest, right? But either way, let's see what the rest of this info actually has to say. So they say, I have some information about the presents coming up. I have 2 sources who told me slightly different things, so take it with a bit of salt. First up, Pokemon Champions. Trainers Pass, Battle Pass unlocks player clothing and items like hairstyles, face paint, earrings, banner art, online profile pictures, and even battle items. Sounds about right, to be honest. You get trainer experience by battling online and winning battles. Also sounds reasonable. Depending on your end of the week ranking online, you will get a bonus experience boost. Okay, that sounds similar to like other games. Like even Counter-Strike does that, I feel like. 151 levels is the Battle Pass. Obvious call to a Gen 1 Pokedex. Single-player story chapters will be available and sold separately. These will be bite-sized stories that end up with you battling a legendary trainer from stories past. Oof, I don't like selling story chapters. That's okay. But yeah, you can battle online, local, unranked, ranked, and gym modes are available. Gym mode will be a mode where you can set up your character with any team you want. Has to be a mono-type team though, okay? And upload it online for others to battle. The more your trainer wins, the more bonuses you get, like having your Pokemon in a gym in Pokemon Go. You know what? Actually cool idea. Like that would be a really sick idea if they do have that, like a gym mode where you can create your own gym and then you put it out there and people can battle your specific gym. That would be so fun. Like that actually sounds really fun. But let's be honest, this is probably not going to be true. This rumor is probably not going to be true, but for some reason I just love that concept. Moving on though, they say that some single story chapters will unlock rare Pokemon. Okay, the Pokedex monthly rotation to keep the competitive game fresh. They'll rotate Pokemon in and out of competitive. Unranked is not affected by this. Okay, shiny Pokemon will also have a different shine animation depending on which game they were caught in. Ooh, okay. You will need Nintendo Switch Online to play online. Version battles will take place online. These will be Splatfest-like events where you choose a team like red or blue, black or white, X or Y, and whichever team gets the most wins at the end of the event gets bonuses. The game will have a guide character called Yumi that will introduce you to all the new modes. Be a live announcer in battles, voice acted, kind of like the professor in Pokemon Bank. Switch 2 version available at launch will run at 4K 60 FPS, which that would be sick if true again. If true, would actually be sick, not gonna lie. But we'll have to wait and see. But here's the second part of this rumor. Pokemon Plus and Minus is real, he says. The game will release in February of 2020. Really? On Pokemon Day? That, again, doesn't make any sense. Okay? This doesn't make any sense. Why has this become such a thing now? I mean, listen, it is possible, but it's also impossible, because I really doubt they drop an entire new generation in February unless it's like maybe an act of almost like, hey, we have to drop this, or we want to make sure we drop this game like early next year because of like blah 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 reasons, or we're gonna drop it early because we didn't have a new game, a new generation this year in 2025. Because listen, by the way, keep in mind, 2025, this was the year they were supposed to drop a new generation following their usual pattern of 3 years per generation. This was when they were supposed to do this. The last time we had a gap between, like, you know, any sort of gap between generations was the time frame between, like, I want to say X and Y and Sun and Moon. Because, for example, X and Y came out in 2013, right? 2013. Then ORAS came out in 2014, but in 2015 we got nothing, right? And there, that still made sense because that was the 3-year regular gap, because in 2016 we got a new generation, that being Sun and Moon. So Sun and Moon 2016, 2017, Ultra Sun and Moon 2018, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. That is a 3-year cycle again. Then in 2019 you get Pokemon Sword and Shield. 2020 you get Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC. In 2021 you get BDSP. Then you move on to the next generation. In 2022, you get Legends Arceus, and you get Scarlet and Violet, which is the brand new generation. So my point is, the cycle has stayed at 3 years for the better part of, like a decade and a half at this point, right? For almost 15 years, this cycle of 3 years per generation has stayed there. And the reason that it has to stay there is literally for Pokemon to function, because Pokemon needs new generations to introduce new Pokemon, to introduce new anime, new characters, new worlds, new locations. These things are necessary to sell more merch and boost the franchise, right? When a new generation comes out, it boosts all of Pokemon. Like if you look up the Google Trends for Pokemon as a whole, like as a franchise on the Google, you can literally see a steady decline ever since like 2016 for Pokemon. Like it went up really hard for Pokemon Go's release, and since then it's been a steady decline, like a really steep decline over time. Even when new generations do come out, they are the only thing that boosts numbers up. If there's not a new generation, like a game like BDSP, Arceus, still they sell good, but they don't unfortunately boost the entire profile of the Pokemon brand the way that new generations or big releases like Pokemon Go ended up doing. So that's why they literally need a new generation, because otherwise they don't have enough things to make new merch out of. They don't have enough things to, you know, sell new cards out of. Like, they're just going to be repeating the same cards after a while, or the same sets, which, I mean, sure, Pokemon card fans are still going to buy it, but the problem is it devalues their brand if they're just repeating the same thing over and over again. That's the main thing they want to avoid. So them releasing the game in February 2026 would only make sense if it's some sort of like way to show that they kind of like, or in some way because they maybe messed up and released, you know, well, not released, but rather because they didn't get Legends EA out last year in 2024, right? We had no game last year, which was really odd, but everybody assumed, okay, well, there's no game. That means, you know, Legends Arceus is gonna, like, Legends EA is gonna come out, and they're gonna, you know, and it's maybe because it's delayed, because a lot of people said that it was probably a delayed game. Like, Legends EA was supposed to come out in 2024, but it didn't. That's something we don't know. There's been no proof of that as far as I can tell. Maybe it was in some of the emails from the, like, the Freak Leak, but I don't know. Nonetheless, the main point, the main important thing I'm trying to say is that because of Legends EA potentially having been a 2024 game, but delayed into 2025, that means that Generation 10 could have been a 2025 game that's obviously been delayed into 2026, which now also perfectly matches up with the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, 30 years of this franchise. Wouldn't that make total sense then, that this is like their way almost, in some bizarre way? Is this potentially their way of like, okay, let's get it out early in February because it was already going to be a 2025 game and we need this out now. Like, we need this to go out to sell more Nintendo Switch 2s, to, you know, justify new merch being made and all these things, and get our, you know, plans in order. Because if it's in February, it's close enough to the last year, like November, December, where normally a new generation would have come out in 2025 now, that they can justify it in some way, and it would still look good on paper for them whenever they do their quarterly checks and all that kind of stuff. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. Maybe I'm crazy, I don't know, but I'd love to know what you guys think about that. So again, I really don't see them releasing it in February. That's ridiculous, but let's continue. They say the players who own any of the Switch games will get special event Pokemon based on the game you have save data for. That's fine. They do that for Pokemon games. It's not that crazy, so that's fair. They show shiny versions of Gen 9 legendaries as the bonuses for Scarlet and Violet save data. Ultra Necrozma is back, shown in the presents. Okay. Show shiny versions of Gen 9 legendaries as bonuses for Scarlet and Violet save data. Okay. Ultra Necrozma is back, shown in the presents. All right. Single, double, triple, and team battles are available. That would be actual peak. You can host championships online or join official hosted ones by Game Freak. But interesting that they would do this if champions exist. I hope it's true though, but okay. You can choose different battle music from past games. Some are remixes, some are rearrangements, okay. You can also choose from different battle rooms, and a beach, lab, or forest and snowy mountains are shown. Wait, no, we're still talking about champions. Oh my lord, we're still talking about champions. I thought this was about Pokemon Plus and Minus. Oh no, it is Plus and Minus. I think it is talking about Plus and Minus still. Man, this rumor is confusing. But either way, you can choose different battle rooms. A beach, a lab, forest, snowy mountain are shown. The game will be free with the trainer pass, single player story. Okay, so it is about champions. Single player story chapters and Pokemon Center store. Item shop selling all kinds of customization things. The game will have some type of bonus with ZA after release. And then about ZA itself, Pokemon ZA sizzle reel is shown, mostly footage of old trailers. More of the city is shown, like cafes, hotel rooms, Pokemon Center, restaurants, and parks. Starters fully evolved shown. Trainer customization is back, almost as robust as X and Y. Bloody hell, please let that be the case. Alpha Pokemon, like bosses, are shown. These will consist of some of the new Mega Evolutions, like Starmie, Dragonite, and Drampa. Mega Energy is leaking from underneath the city and infecting these Pokemon, causing them to Mega Evolve without a bond of a trainer, which makes them go on a rampage, creating even more Mega Energy. No one knows why this is happening or how this who could be behind it. Quasar is looking for the strongest trainer to help stop it. They recruit you and provide you with some Mega Stones of your own. Lysander is shown in the Quasar offices. Says Lysander has gray hair and a full beard, wears a similar outfit to his outfit in X and Y. The sewers are shown, similar to Black and White 2, but more expansive. Ooh, okay. And run through the entirety of city, kind of like the Tears of the Kingdom Underground. Tougher trainers and Pokemon stay in here. Menus and battle music is shown. Okay, now the thing is, let's see if we can find this rumor right here and see if we missed something at the bottom or something at the top. No, they didn't really, there's not much here, but the fact that they say plus and minus real, I'd expect them to say some stuff about Pokemon plus and minus, oddly enough, but they didn't. I mean, fair enough. So I guess they're implying that February 2026 would be Pokemon Champions. Well, okay, you know what? That makes this rumor sound more legit. The fact that they didn't even, like, that they didn't imply it was for plus and minus. Sorry, it was like this entire like post was in 2 separate pieces, and I assume the second part here was all about plus and minus, but I guess it's not. So all he said is this: Pokemon Champions for 2026 February, plus and minus is real. That's it, and then Pokemon ZA. Sizzle reel and just some info. Now, dude, if we do get all these things announced in some way or shape at this actual presents, that would be one of the most peak Pokemon presents we've ever gotten. But I doubt it, but who knows, man? Who knows? Anything is possible. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching. I want to appreciate you guys for, coming through here and still watching these videos with me and, just being interested in Pokemon. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.